The turning wheel. The big iron gates of Blackwood Manor were cold and heavy. The Sterling family who lived inside the huge mansion were just like those gates, cold and hard. They were very, very rich, but they were not kind. They thought that because they had a lot of money, they were better than everyone else. A poor man named Thomas worked for them. Thomas was the helper of the house. He worked day and night in the freezing cold. He cut the grass, fixed the roof, and cleaned the yard until his hands were sore. But no matter how hard he worked, the Sterlings never said, "Thank you." They only shouted at him. The worst one was the oldest son, Alistair. Alistair was very rude. He would purposely walk mud into the house just to make Thomas clean it up. He laughed at Thomas's old torn jacket. Thomas stayed quiet and kept working because he needed money to buy food for his wife and little boy. The day everything changed. One windy afternoon, Thomas was high up on a wooden ladder. He was fixing a broken glass window on top of the big greenhouse. The wind was blowing loudly and Thomas had to be very careful not to cut himself on the sharp glass. Down in the yard, Alistair got out of his car. He was carrying a heavy bag. "Thomas, come down right now and carry my bag," Alistair shouted. But up on the roof, the wind was making too much noise. Thomas's own breathing was loud and he was too far away. He truly did not hear Alistair. So he kept working. "Thomas!" Alistair yelled again. His face turned red with anger. "Are you deaf? How dare you ignore me?" When Thomas finally climbed down and wiped the sweat from his forehead, Alistair and his father, Lord Sterling, were standing there. He looked very angry. He told him right away to get out of the house and that he was not going to work there, and poor Thomas had to leave with no place to go. Thomas tried to explain, "I'm so sorry, sir. The wind was too loud. I did not hear him." But the rich family did not care. That very night, in the dark and the rain, Thomas and his family were thrown out. They had no job, no money, and no home. A wonderful surprise. The next few months were very hard for Thomas and his family. They lived in a tiny, cold room. But then, something amazing happened. One evening, a smart man in a suit knocked on their door. He was a lawyer. He was looking for Thomas. The lawyer told Thomas that he had an old uncle named Arthur who had lived far away. Uncle Arthur had become very, very rich, but he had just passed away. Because he had no children of his own, he left all his money to Thomas. The lawyer gave Thomas a letter from the uncle. It said, "Dear Thomas, a long time ago, I borrowed money from your father to start my business. Your father was very kind and gave me everything he had, which made his own life hard. Now I am returning all this wealth to your family. It belongs to you." Almost overnight, Thomas's family became very rich. They could finally buy nice food and warm clothes. The wheel of time. While Thomas became rich, the Sterling family lost everything. Lord Sterling made bad choices with his money, and Alistair spent too much on expensive things. Soon, they ran out of money. They owed a lot of cash to the bank. The bank told them they had to sell their beautiful mansion, Blackwood Manor. An unknown person bought the mansion with a lot of cash. The Sterlings were heartbroken. They packed their boxes to move into a tiny, broken house. As they were walking out of the big iron gates for the last time, a beautiful new car pulled up. The door opened and out stepped Thomas. He was wearing a nice, neat suit. Alistair's face turned white. Lord Sterling looked down at the ground. They were ashamed. They thought Thomas was going to laugh at them and treat them badly, just like they used to treat him. But Thomas did not shout. He walked up to them with a kind smile. "Lord Sterling," Thomas said gently, "please do not leave. This house is too big for my small family. You know this place so well. Please stay here with us in the guest rooms for as long as you need, until you find a new home." Alistair started to cry. He felt so sorry for how bad he had been. "Thomas, we were so mean to you. We threw you out in the rain. Why are you being nice to us?" Thomas put a gentle hand on Alistair's shoulder and said, "Because I learned that life can change quickly. Money, happiness, and sadness do not last forever. Time is like a wheel that keeps turning. Today, you are up, and tomorrow, you might be down. When we are up, we must always be kind to those who are down." The Sterlings stayed in the mansion, not as the masters, but as thankful guests. They learned a big lesson. Having a kind heart is much more important than having a lot of money.
Welcome to Busy Bee Tales! Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun stories.